Cool beans. All right. So, Nick, thank you so much for joining me, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this for us. I've been wanting to have you on one of our Facebook Lives or our Zooms for a little while, just because, especially with you coming out with Sleep Secrets, I know, especially with my main demographic being working parents and everybody being so freaking busy all the time, like this is the common struggle that I hear personally is just people just struggling to get a good night's sleep and just not even realizing the impact that that has on so many aspects of their health, weight loss, energy, sex drive, just everything. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll just start from there.
Sure. My name's Nick Riell. I've been a health and wellness coach for the past 15 years. Like Taz has said, my specialty is resolving sleep problems. And I got into this particular realm a couple of years ago. Again, like I said, I've been a coach pretty much my entire life. So one of the big things that I've always had to have to solve for my clients is their sleep issues, whether it be like they don't sleep well during the night, they wake up constantly, or they have like very low energy during the day. It's all a sleep issue. So I got really good at solving this particular issue. And over the course of 2020, I decided to take that all online. And here we are today. And it's a lovely subject to talk about.
So why don't you, one of the first things like right out the gate, man, was I wanted everybody just to get some quick tips on just helping working parents. And especially it's such a trying time with us putting our kids back in school. Some of us, like me, for the first time, where our schedules are adjusting from summer to that fall schedule, getting acclimated with going back into our offices and kids going to school instead of virtual learning. So, man, like in all honesty, what are some realistic strategies that you can provide to parents that are just so damn busy all the time?
Well, the first one is give yourself some grace. You're doing more than the average human adult does in a whole year in the course of a few weeks. It's a lot. I work with a lot of parents. When you're throwing your kids back into school, especially after the events of 2020, it's hard enough as it is. Now it's really hard to adjust back into that. So give yourself some grace. Don't expect everything to be perfect. Put that weight down. Take it off your shoulders. That alone will help you guys manage your stress. Now for a more practical tip. One thing that I like all my clients to do, whether parents or not, is to create a hard cutoff time during their day. Now, that said, it is easy for single people or parents who have older kids to have this quote hard cutoff time to end their day. For newer parents with younger kids, this is a much bigger challenge. So take mini breaks throughout your day. And this worked well with quite a few of my parents. Take a couple minutes every hour or two, literally throw yourself in a closet. I'm not kidding. Put yourself in a closet, breathe, let all the stress come out of you. Just breathe, relax, slow down. And then once your timer's up, go back and get after your day. Do that repeatedly throughout your day, as much as you need it. That helps a lot. Now, there's so many other ways we can give you guys strategies. Putting down your phones at the end of the day, that's huge as well. We're all addicted to these particular devices. And if you're on them a lot, yeah, they can definitely screw up your sleep. And that's an easy fix. Put your phone down. Limit the amount of time you're sitting watching TV. I know a very popular pastime for a lot of people is, okay, your day's done. Let's relax and watch TV. Pretty sure everybody has done that at least once, if not a lot of times. So make sure if that's a part of your evening routine, awesome, sweet. Just make sure that you give yourself enough time between when you turn off that TV and when you go to sleep so that your brain can actually wind down. These simple little strategies will go a long way. I know they're kind of like no-brainers, but really, simple wins the sleep game. Complicated does not.
Well, where's your opinion at right now? Because I know, like, I've spent some time on PubMed and there's different research articles coming out, and it seems like it's a 50-50 split where, we've always been taught that the blue light exposure will really increase cortisol levels, and obviously that affects our sleep. But now I've been listening to some podcasts from like some credible individuals with scientists coming out saying how they're not seeing a lot of specifically the blue light blocker glasses. They're seeing them not as effective as we thought they were. So really, where do you lean on this side of the fence, Nick, honestly?
If it's a problem, it's a problem. If it's not a problem, it's not a problem. Like, it is literally that simple. So, like, let's take somebody who works in an office. They're sitting down all day long. They're literally eyes are glued to a computer all day long. They're not active. They don't eat right. Yeah, that's going to be compounding problems. And your blue light exposure is just going to be the cherry on top. It's not going to be, oh, I have a weight problem because I'm getting blue light exposure. No, not so much. Because we all have watched TV well past time we should have. We slept just fine. So really, we have to look at it in conjunction with other things inside of our environments and our lifestyles. If our environment and our lifestyle are relatively stress-free and you have control over that stress, excessive blue light exposure isn't going to necessarily bother you. And by the way, what is excessive blue light exposure? Nobody has ever put a number on that. It's very personal to each person. And it's going to depend largely of how your day was set up, your status of health, where your stress levels are at, and ultimately, like, how often you are exposed to blue light. So I'm on both sides of that fence. Yeah, it can be a problem for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's not as big of a problem as at least the sleep industry has made it out to be. And going on blue light blockers, if you get them on Amazon and they're like $5, they're probably not doing anything. Just being honest, you have to pay upwards of $100 to get a solid pair. You get a solid pair, and let's say you're working on screens all day, it will make a massive difference in eye fatigue.
Well, that's a good thing that you mentioned that, because I know when I'm obviously I'm affiliated with First Form. Then there's so many new supplements related to eye health coming out, and specifically like rejuvenating your eyes due to blue light exposure. Like, have you ever done any research into these supplements to know that they're effective or not? Because I've had clients ask me about them, and honestly, I'm like, I don't know. Like, if it's cheap, but honestly, I think that's the least of our worries.
I don't know too much about these. In full transparency, I know they're starting to come out. Like you said, First Form has them. There's a couple other companies that have them. I mean, if you're concerned about your eye health, yeah, grab a pair of blue light blocking glasses. That will help limit your screen exposure, and eat healthy and be active. Those two right there will do wonders for you. Hate to break the news. Eat healthy and be active. It literally solves most people's problems.
Right. So, and this is honestly an area that I haven't discussed enough with my parents, is just how sleep really, or the lack of sleep, really affects our cortisol levels and our internal health with adrenal fatigue, HPA axis dysfunction, things of that nature. And I know that I went through it when I had this, I would say maybe 10-20 years ago. There was the boom phase of like, sleep is for suckers. Like, we would hear certain motivational
God, these people.
Yeah. And I fell victim of it. And because I was very early on in my entrepreneur days and starting a small business, and I was like, oh, well, I can't sleep if I want to be successful and rich and all this stuff. And it wasn't until, honestly, bro, probably like 6-7 years ago when I started to look into the science of things and how a lack of sleep really affects us, not only physically with weight loss wise, but also physiologically as well. So is there anything that you want to dive into that regarding that, since I haven't even touched on this subject?
Not to go down this high level, like 30,000 foot neuroscience road, because that's really what you'd find if you go down this particular path online. Your sleep wake cycle, it's called your circadian cycle for the fancy term. It controls every aspect of your body, anywhere from your energy levels, your sex drive, your hormone balances, when hormones are secreted, when they're not secreted, literally everything is controlled by this sleep-wake cycle. So all modern health issues, yeah, they might have a primary system that's dysfunctional, but I will promise you the root of that dysfunction is disrupted sleep. It controls everything. It affects everything. Don't look at sleep in a compartmentalized point of view, which is how it's commonly looked at, especially in the health and wellness industry. It's like, okay, well, you need to do this. And it's kind of off to the side. Guys, it needs to be the first thing that you do. If you're looking to make a positive shift in your life with your health, career, whatnot, you need to make sure that your sleep quality is very high. Why? You won't be able to exit a survival-based mentality if you're always tired. And that's where most people I encounter are. They're always tired. It's very hard to push yourself during a workout, prep your food, do all the things that you know you need to be doing if you're constantly tired and stressed out. Make sure your sleep's in check. It's arguably the most important part of your health and fitness journey.
Even above, would you say, food quantity and quality?
Yep. Absolutely. If you had to choose between getting a workout in and going to sleep, go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Right. So what are some things that or tips that you would give out to people to maximize their sleep? Because I know I have some people in here right now that have, there are clients of mine that have, they're struggling either to fall asleep. It just takes them a while because they just can't get their brain to shut off, or they wake up several times throughout the night. So what are some tips that you would give to both of those parties?
Well, if you're having difficulty falling asleep because your mind's racing, you really need to set a hard cutoff time to end your day and allow your brain and your body to wind down naturally. Far too often, a lot of people, and parents are included in here as well, they're doing at 100%, and then they try to go to sleep. You can't do 100 to 0 for your body often. Yeah, I can do it occasionally, but repeated, no. Your brain's going to keep spinning. You need to have that decompression time and insert that strategy for parents who maybe can't set a hard cutoff time. Maybe you have a young kid. Do the closet trick repeatedly throughout the day. The whole goal is to control the stress levels. If your brain's spinning, you're stressed out. You need to find a root of that stress and you need to rip it out. Trust me, it is not serving you. It is keeping you right where you are. And if it's not dealt with, it will drag you down and it will keep you down. Another good tip. This is such a no-brainer. We're taught this all the time, but yet so many of us don't do it. Be consistent with your bedtime and your wake-up time. Be consistent with it. The body loves consistency. Your brain loves predictability. And your body will sync its processes to what you're doing consistently. So don't shift around your bedtime and your wake-up time if it's Sunday to Monday or Friday to Saturday. If you're having a problem with low energy, poor sleep, you need to be consistent with that 7 days a week until that problem is resolved. And then maybe you can have some flexibility with that. Another thing I have my clients do: evening routine, morning routine. How you end your day is equally important to how you start your day. And again, the whole point of these two routines is to control stress. The evening routine is pretty straightforward. Insert your hard cutoff time, do something you like to do, and then go to bed on time. It is that simple. Wake up on the morning side, wake up at that consistent time. Start your day off the way you want to, or in a semblance of the way you want to, and be consistent with it. Not perfect, consistent. If you have a couple days where it gets all messed up, because guess what, guys, life happens. You're not always going to get a great night's sleep. You're not always going to wake up feeling like $1 billion. It's just life. It's okay. Give yourself the grace, make the adjustments, and move on. That's it. If everyone did those things I just listed out, people's sleep quality would not be a problem. People's weight wouldn't be as big of an issue. Stress levels would not be so high. So the basics, guys. I wish I could sit there and give you this magical formula to fix your sleep forever, but it really does lie in those tenets I just listed out.
So when you're helping individuals achieve weight loss, what do you do to, because I know that I'm working with some parents right now that, we work in tangible steps to try to improve their sleep, but for whatever the reason may be, they're just having a hard time putting down the freaking cell phones just because they feel obligated to be there for their jobs, their kids, whatever responsibilities that they have. Like, how do you start to honestly like break down this habit of reaching for the phone when you know that you should not be touching it at 11 o'clock at night? Like, how do you just get people to pause?
Well, first, I don't have them label it as like, oh, you can't touch the phone. A lot of people like to do that. It's like, you can touch the phone, but why? Why are you grabbing the phone? Are you trying to distract yourself? Are you trying to create time and space for yourself by scrolling on social media? I mean, there's always a reason for it. We need to find out what that reason is. If it's, let's say someone's feeling super obligated to their job and they're working like well beyond their paid hours, why? Why? And ultimately, is that choice that that person's making worth the sacrifice the next day? You cannot fill your cup up if you're constantly giving it out. And we all know the popular saying, if you want to help others, help yourself first. This particular problem that people have, it's noble, it's rooted in good intentions. But we have to shift that to help others and to serve others in the way that you all want to serve and be there for your families and provide for them. You have to provide for you first. There is no other way around that. You cannot give 100% if you only have 10% left to give. And it will catch up to you. People go years doing this, and eventually it will bite you in the ass. And then fixing those problems is a lot harder than if you just took the time to invest in yourself now, invest in your health now, and be a little selfish. It is not self-centered to be selfish. It's actually selfless, because when you're 100%, everyone around you reaps the benefits of that. And that makes people feel really good. But when you're only at 64% or 46%, that's all you got to give. And if you're trying to give 100, you're going to be painfully surprised how that does not work well. I used to be that person, so I'm speaking from experience. That's the shift, and that's how I lay it out for all my clients who have struggles like this. You need to show up for you so you can show up in all areas of your life that you give a shit about. There's no other way around that. And each time that you don't, you're inherently failing yourself, and you could be letting other people down even though you don't see it right now. I know that's hard to swallow, but that is the truth.
Yeah, that's huge right there. And yeah. Yep. And I've been there too, buddy. One thing that I was listening to a podcast, the Tailored Coaching Method podcast with Coach Cody, he talks about, because I've struggled with developing a morning routine that is right for me. Depend on, where, I begin coaching my clients first thing in the morning. Sometimes it's at 5 a.m., sometimes at 6 a.m., whatever. And one thing that's really helped me was suggested by Cody was, focus on three things when you wake up. It was focus on something for your body, focus on something for your mind, and focus on something for your spirit. And that has taken a lot of weight off of my shoulders, because we hear all these like motivational gurus about, you need to be doing X, Y, Z every single morning to be successful. And a lot of the times for us to feel at our best. And what I've noticed, Nick, from just focusing on those three tactics every single morning, is it takes a 100-pound boulder off of my shoulders. And it makes me feel like I've done more just by starting my day, just by doing these three quick activities. And it's nothing crazy. Like, I literally wake up and I'll do like 10 squats, do a couple lunges, do something just to get the blood circulating throughout my body so I physically wake up. And then something as small as like drinking a green smoothie or doing some prayer meditation time. And bro, I tell you, within the first 15, 20 minutes of me waking up, I feel phenomenal. And I'm a lot more motivated throughout the day to do more. And I notice I'm overall more productive when it is at night. And I look back throughout my day and I see what I was able to accomplish. Dude, it's polar opposites, night and day, from when I start implementing these tactics. So I say all that just to, do you provide your clients with any type of like strategies in the beginning when people aren't used to doing morning routines or night routines? Like, what are some tips that or suggestions you can give to people?
Start small. Start small. Do not try to change everything that you're doing at once. Your brain likes predictability. What you consistently do, your brain is going to inherently make you keep doing. That's how it works. So any change you need to make needs to be very, very simple. It needs to be easy, like stupid easy. And it needs to fit into your morning or day, evening, relatively seamlessly. The more effort it's going to take from you to integrate this at first, the less likely you're going to be able to keep it. So for a lot of people, okay, start your day by just simply waking up on time. That's it. Once you're consistent with that, it's not necessarily a challenge anymore. Okay, awesome. Well, why don't you go hydrate? Okay, do that until it becomes automatic. All right, now go hydrate and get out into the sunlight, because most people don't get enough sunlight. Unless you live in Miami, Florida, that's a different story. Or in Vegas, like me, we get plenty of that. But get out into the sun. All right, now you're waking up on time. You're hydrating. Now you're getting into the sun. Okay, cool. Let's take it a step further. Why don't you walk around the block while you hydrate and get your sunlight in? And you do that until it's consistent. Wow, you have a now sleep productive morning routine. Does it take some time to institute? Yeah, depends on the person. But start small and just be consistent with it. I like that framework that Cody gave. That's inherently like how I do it, different words. But yeah, you need to start your day off with you. No, that is a non-negotiable. You need to start your day off with you, however that works. For some people, they do exactly what I just listed out. Some people need that coffee. Hi, I'm the person who needs the coffee. You will not catch me walking around the block empty-handed. I will have a coffee there. I also work out. Some of my clients, they prefer to work out in the morning. Some prefer a little bit later in the day, some in the evening. It really depends on the chronotype. But no matter what, if you want to get active in the morning, do it. It helps a lot with maintaining positive energy levels throughout the day. So I'm a huge fan of that one. Yeah, simple, guys, just simple. We all know what we need to be doing. Just take small steps and do it repeatedly. You will get there. Just don't stop.
Now, what about evening routines?
So for the evening routine, that whole emphasis is on slowing down. So not necessarily, it's mind, body, spirit, but instead of accelerating you, we're decelerating you. We just spent your whole day going 60 miles an hour. Okay, we need to taper that off. I don't like it when people slam their e-brakes because that usually leads to problems and it's very jolty. Let's gradually slow it down. Do something for your body, like, relax, de-stress, however that might be. Do something for your spirit. I'm a huge fan of journaling. Not all my clients do that, but for those who do, that is a mainstay in their routines. It does a lot for people who aren't very expressive emotionally, like my clients who aren't very expressive emotionally. I have them journal because they need to have that outlet. They need to inherently sometimes vent, and they don't necessarily like venting to another person. They like venting to a piece of paper. It still gets it out of them. So those are the practices I usually instill with my clients, but ultimately I give them creative freedom to build the routine that they want. As long as it's in some parameters and it's working for them, Sky's the limit.
All right. Now, have you ever seen any correlation? Because there has been some studies that I've researched where they've taken individuals that have woken up in the middle of the night and they just lay in bed until hopefully they fall asleep again, versus this other test group that actually got up when they woke up and they went out of their bedroom away from their bed. Because I guess there's our brains, you could probably say this better than I could, but our bodies or our brains represent our beds for sleep. So scientists are always talking about not just lounging out in our beds, watching TV and things like that, because they noticed this other test group that actually went out to their living rooms and they actually journaled, like you said, they were actually able to go back to their rooms 5-10 minutes later and actually fall asleep faster. So this has actually been, I've been testing this out with some of my clients, and it's actually been working pretty well. So I just want to get your views on that, just because of, you're the expert here.
Because I'm the expert here. I like
You're
that.
the expert.
I agree with the research. Look, like if you don't fall asleep within like 5 minutes of you waking up, get up and move around. Go do something. Nothing laborious. For some people, let's say something's been on their mind. Yeah, that journaling works great. For most people, if they're waking up in the middle of the night, from a scientific point of view and a nutritional point of view, there's usually two reasons. One, their blood sugar is too low, or number two, they have to go to the bathroom. And it's usually number one. So if you find that you're waking up and let's say you're hungry, you feel irritable, maybe you feel anxious or paranoid, you probably have low blood sugar. So if you find that that is the case for you, I recommend getting a small carbohydrate source in you to elevate your blood sugar, and your body will be able to go fall back to sleep pronto. If it's you're waking up to go to the bathroom, okay, more than likely you're consuming too much water close to bed. Your body will do its utmost best to keep you asleep, but if you need to pee, it's going to wake you up to do that. So for my clients who have issues and they wake up middle of the night, going to the bathroom all the time, I have them cease their water intake about 1 to 2 hours before bed until the problem's resolved.
Now, what about the carb sources? Because I know somebody's going to ask us about this. They're like, what are some good carbs to have if you're experiencing those low blood sugar drops?
I'm a huge fan. Just get a banana. If you like bananas, do it. Or an apple, whatnot. I mean, if your present state of health is like excellent, I think anything will work. You want it to be relatively fast digesting. Don't make a bowl of oatmeal. Don't eat quinoa. It's going to take a long time for it to digest. You want something that's going to hit the bloodstream pretty quickly. So simple carbs.
But not candy, right?
Again, if your present state of health is super high and you find that, let's say, humor me here, because I know this happened to somebody, no one I've worked with, that if they eat like 5 Sour Patch Kids, they're able to go back to sleep. Okay, cool. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that all the time, because then I'd be asking the question, well, why are you eating Sour Patch Kids at 2 a.m. every single morning? You probably should redistribute your carbohydrates to earlier in the day, so you don't have this problem.
Right.
I guarantee you someone does that. Guarantee it.
Right. So what would be some, like, I know everybody's, I'd be silly to skip over this because this is the main thing that everybody wants to hear about, is just looking into how you can maximize your sleep for weight loss, because we've all heard it, how weight loss can be hindered with a lack of sleep. So just through your experience, what is the good amount of sleep that individuals should have to achieve or at least maximize their weight loss?
So we're not going to look at sleep as duration. Why? Well, for starters, the whole industry looks at duration. Well, sleep quality and sleep duration are not directly related. They're correlated, but they're not directly related. So what you'll want to do is maximize your sleep quality. And how you'll know if you've achieved high sleep quality is you're able to fall asleep relatively fast. For some people, it might be within about 30 seconds. For others, it might be about 5-10 minutes. But you should not be sitting there just like staring at the ceiling for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or hours on end. You should also be able to stay asleep the whole night. If you're constantly waking up, sleep quality is low, there's a problem somewhere. So make sure that you're staying asleep all night. And then when you wake up, you should feel refreshed more often than not. When you're able to fall asleep quickly, stay asleep throughout the night, and wake up feeling refreshed, you've achieved high sleep quality. That's your prerequisite for weight loss, because that means your body's going to be working relatively perfectly, as much as it can be at that particular point in time. It's going to be able to handle higher levels of stress because it recovered 100%. And you're going to be able to do all the things outside of that, such as exercise and eat the right foods and not be tempted to go get the Frappuccino in the morning, because you got a great night's sleep. That's legit how you do it from a 30,000 foot view. Now, if we're going to insert like chrononutrition and chronotyping on this, it's a whole different ballgame. That's what I specialize in.
So is that like, could you dive a little bit into that, just because out of my own curiosity? Because, I'm a nerd, man. I like learning this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So your chronotype is your genetic predisposition for a specific sleep and wake timing. You ever heard of the term like early bird, night owl? Those are descriptions of chronotypes. And this is a genetic preference that is instilled to you at birth. Now, you can train or sync, for the lack of a better term, your sleep-wake cycle to whatever timing you want. But have you ever, let's say you were constantly like waking up and going to sleep, and what you would deal an unideal time, that it's beyond your bedtime, but you were making it work. We've all done that. And as soon as you basically went to bed when your body wanted you to, it slapped back to the time that you want. Yep, that's your genetics playing into this. A good example for me was in college. I didn't necessarily have to be at class until about 10 a.m. So I would stay up until midnight. But one night, I decided to go to sleep about 9 p.m. And it woke me up at 4:30 a.m. That is my sleep preference. So I'm an early bird. Where a lot of people go wrong with their sleep is they ignore their body telling them, hey, it's time to go to bed. And that screws up everything the next day. We all have done this. When your body is getting tired and you get that tired sensation, you have about an hour before you're supposed to go to bed. That's a sign that your hormone melatonin is high enough inside of your body to make you fall asleep. What a lot of people do, they turn on the TV, they fall asleep on the couch, the whole 9 yards. That's where people get in trouble. So that's chronotyping in a nutshell. Where we add the nutrition into this is we sync someone's meal timing to their circadian cycle. Remember how the body likes to do everything consistently? Mm-hmm. Well, most people who've gotten unhealthy or overweight, like I could speak personal experiences of this as well, because I haven't always been healthy. Meal timing was everywhere. Skipped meals, small meals, followed by a large meal later in the day, late night eating, the whole 9 yards. It is disorganized. When you organize your food intake and you're consistent with it, your body loves that. Just in general, it loves it. It loves it even more when it's synced to its natural preferences of when it wants to do things. When you do that, weight loss becomes stupid easy. I mean, stupid easy.
You literally just blew my brain. So just so I understand you correctly, we can naturally alter being night owls to early birds or things like that. But a lot of that of what we believe of what we are, either an early bird or a night owl, that has a lot to do with our genetics, correct?
Correct.
So that mind boggles me, just because we get in this notion where we need to fall asleep at 10, 11, whatever, so what would you recommend for people genetically if they might be night owls, but their parents who have to wake up at 5, 6 because they have jobs, they have to get the kids ready for school, things like that. So that throws a huge curveball into things. Can or should they start transitioning into an early bird? Like, where do you fall into this?
So lifestyle matters greatly in this equation. So let's say someone's a night owl. There aren't terribly many of those compared to like people who rise and set with the sun. But let's, for the sake of the conversation, humor. Now, sleep quality matters. If you can, let's say, go to sleep more towards your preference and wake up more towards your preference, and it's not going to interfere with your lifestyle, by all means do it. For a lot of parents, though, that is not the case. Kids love to wake up really early. So my recommendation for parents is, number one, make sure your sleep quality, no matter what, is as high as it possibly can be. And number two, remember how I said you can sync your circadian cycle to pretty much whatever times you're doing consistently? Just be consistent with the times that are working for you. It shouldn't stress you out. It may not be your ideal time, but you can make the best of it. And it is temporarily. Might be years temporary, but it's still temporary.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm going on 3 years now.
Feels like 30?
Yeah, it does. But okay, so where do you fall with, okay, remembering that we're speaking to parents, how important are naps are if somebody can get them? Do they make things worse because they put us into the sleep and then we have to get back up in an hour? Like, are naps beneficial, yes or no?
They can be, and they can also be your worst nightmare. So let's go back to, okay, let's say if a parent's not a morning person and they're now forced to be a morning person, more than likely a nap is going to be very helpful. This is my stance on naps. If it does not interfere with your sleep quality, by all means, have fun. If it interferes with your sleep quality, don't do it.
Gotcha.
For new parents, you're probably going to need to take some naps. Give yourself some grace and take the damn nap.
I remember, like I've told parents before, I used to fall asleep in my car or in my office. My office had a couch in it, and I would literally just pass out for those 60 minutes. Like, I wasn't even worried about eating lunch, bro. I just wanted some freaking sleep.
Yeah. I mean, if you need the nap, take the nap. As long as it's not negatively interfering with your life and what you want, who's to say you can't do it? Nobody.
Right. Good deal, man. This is a lot of good information. Like, as we begin to wrap this up, because I want to be respectful of your time, what are some last, is there anything else that you would like to cover that would be important for our parents to know in terms of, how to maximize their sleep, whether it be, obviously dropping the AC temperature down, making sure the room is dark? Is there any last strategies that you can leave us?
Yeah, sleep hygiene definitely matters. Yeah. If your room temperature is too hot or too cold, adjust that thermostat. It's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. I live in Vegas. If it's 1 degree too hot, I'm a little bitch and I will complain about it. Like, put down your phone, guys. Trust me, nothing's more important than you and your family. There's not. It can wait. Your family is what you're doing all this for. Put it down. Be present with them. Nutrition matters. Eat healthy. Eat the foods you enjoy too, because what's the point of being healthy and being lean, the whole 9 yards, if you can't enjoy all the foods that you want on top of that? There is no point. Be active as well. You do not have to do NFL style training. Just move. Be consistent with it. That's the big one. Be consistent with this stuff. It is not rocket science. Make sure that you're giving yourself time. Make sure you're putting great food in your body. Make sure you're moving your body. And you'll be amazed of how your body syncs all that together, and your sleep issues will be a thing of the past. no matter if you're a parent of like a newborn or a parent of an 18-year-old.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Then before we leave, does anybody here have any questions now that we have Nick here?
Don't be shy.
Going once, going twice.
Dang, did we answer other questions?
I think we did, man. Like I had some stuff written down because there was definitely some
Yeah.
big things I wanted to cover.
I have like a page of notes. So I thought the insight was really good. I'm a CPAP user, so I definitely wanted to kind of hear your take on sleep secrets. And I work retail. My hours are crazy. I get home, it takes me some time to unwind. I think one of my mistakes is definitely having coffee at 7 p.m.
I want
sometimes
coffee at
even at
7 p.m.
8.
all the time. I get it.
It keeps me up. And then, but no, I took some great notes, and I think if I adhere to most of the notes that I took, I'll see a big change in the fatigue piece of being tired or waking up tired or just not feeling very energetic.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Nick, what are some things that somebody with retail can do if they have shifts all over the place and they can't develop that natural rhythm?
Well, that's where those routines, that evening and morning routine, really come into practice. So, fun story, a lot of my clientele are pilots and flight attendants.
Ooh.
They're not directly retail, but talk about not having a schedule or they hop time zones. Sometimes some of them hop day zones. That's the first thing I have them do, is make those routines. And that is what they breathe. So it doesn't matter if they're home. Let's say they live here in Vegas with me. It doesn't matter if they're in Pacific time, Eastern time, or across the world. Those routines will carry them. And I can go into the science about how that works. It'll bore you, but trust me, it works. Get those routines done on either end of the day. And then whenever you inherently initiate that routine, you'll get the desired result of that routine. Which morning, wake up, evening, go to sleep. It works a charm.
Gotcha.
I think the part where you said about making sure that the time is balanced, being consistent with shutting off the day, that's my hiccup. And I'm a early I'm a late owl, I'm a night owl and an early bird. So I gotta find my medium to make sure that I'm getting in that quality sleep time. Right now I'm at a capacity of about 7 hours, maybe.
Okay.
I'm up frequently, the bathroom run, drinking water. So I'm kind of like shooting myself in the foot because I'm drinking water and I got to get up and go release it. So I'm definitely going to be doing a better schedule with that.
Yes.
And cutting it off.
And as you get used to that schedule, you'll notice your sleep change as quality increases. And then you'll know for sure if you're an early bird or a night owl.
Right.
And then once that preference it has been identified, stick with it more often than not.
Okay. Sounds good. Great stuff, Neil. Nick.
Neil. Hey, somebody at Starbucks today called me Nike. I'm pretty sure I said Nick on the mobile order. Since it's in my phone, why you said hi Nike?
Yes.
I'll take it though. Whatever, fine. Where's my endorsement? Thanks. You owe me royalties for that, Starbucks.
I really do. Oh my gosh. All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Me, I have one. Does quality sleep have a time frame?
It doesn't necessarily have a time frame, but when your sleep quality is high, start tracking the amount of time you are spent sleeping. So let's say you're rating your sleep quality really high and you're noticing that you're about 6.5, 7 hours duration. That time is associated to your high sleep quality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome.
Good deal. Anybody else? All right. Nick, where can people find you at?
I'm really, really easy. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Nick Riell. Like, that's it. I tried to make things super, super simple. I do have a private group. If you want in, just message me on Facebook and I'll make sure that you get in. I do have an ebook out. If you want a copy, either reach out to me or Coach Taz, and we'll be sure to get you one of those as well.
Yep, I got a copy.
Sweet. You better have a copy.
Dude, I was one of your first ones, man.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. I remember all the first downloads. You were one of them.
Yeah. So, all right, brother. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. And if anybody needs to get a hold of Nick, by all means, message him, or one of us will send you his sleep secrets book. So it's really, really good stuff. So, Nick, thank you, brother, and hope everybody has an amazing weekend.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.